Okay, so this morning I'm going to be listening to a piece by Mexican composer Carlos Chavez. It's called Sinfonia India. And the copyright on this score is 1950. Let's see if that's the year of composition. No, it is not. So this was composed in 1936. So we're going back in time a little bit. This is apparently one of the composer's most popular pieces and really associated with his identity. The instrumentation in this score here is 4, 3, 5, 3, 4, 2, 2, 0, and then 4 percussionists, timpani, harp, and strings. Percussion 1 is on Indian drum, maraca, metal rattle, and suspended cymbal. Percussion 2 is on tenor drum, soft rattle, claves, and xylophone. Percussion 3, snare drum, rattling string, guiro. Percussion 4, bass drum, rasping stick. So it's all, aside from the xylophone, unpitched percussion. Apparently the original composition was for indigenous instruments. He was like working with tribes in northern Mexico, or at least borrowing from their culture. So the percussion list here is like an approximation of those traditional instruments. There's a big note here on what you could use to be more authentic. Things like a yaqui drum, clay rattle, yaqui metal rattle, water gourd, tenabari, teponak stills, grijuchian, and tlapan huehuetl, raspador, and a raspador yaqui. I kind of want to see what some of these look like, actually. This is what the yaqui drum would look like if you were to use one. It's like a little frame drum. Here's an example of one of the yaqui rattles, I think. Yeah. So it has little pieces of brass or bronze inside, it looks like. A tenabari is like this ankle garment that you dance to make sound. And I'll just pull it up here. You get the idea. It's made of teeth, it looks like. Teponaztli, it looks like, are a type of slit drum with multiple notes. So the xylophone part must be sort of approximating this. What you would play on 2 drums. Looks like each drum has like 3 different notes. Grijuchian is this thing. This is not a good link. But it's this thing made out of what looks to be either pieces of ram's horn or maybe hooves. The tlalpan huehuetl is actually a Aztec war drum, it looks like. So it's very ornate. But it's essentially like a standing drum with this sort of pattern of openings at the bottom. Lastly, the rasping stick. Would just be something like this. This is replaced by a guiro, I think. You can kind of see how it's even more simple. So yeah, that's what the percussion could look like if you were trying to do more authentic performance. One performance note: the tenuto signs do not indicate an accent. That's an interesting performance note. I would assume that it doesn't, but I guess it depends on the instrument and the performance practice. And here's the score layout. Looks like it's nicely engraved here. This is our first Carlos Chávez piece. So let me just give it a brief introduction to the composer as a person. So he was born in 1899, died in 1978. In addition to being a composer, he was a conductor, music theorist, educator, and founder of the Mexican Symphonic Orchestra. And he has 6 symphonies, but Sinfonia India is the second one. His compositions up to 1921 are essentially romantic pieces. Then he transitioned into more nationalistic, like programmatic type things. Moved to New York City and lived there from 1924 to 1928. And the culmination of that period was his ballet called Horsepower. Interesting. Anyways, that would be an interesting one to look at. Definitely influenced by Stravinsky. So we can listen for that in this piece. Yeah, I guess in the 30s, which this piece is representative of, Chávez returned to traditional genres like the sonata, quartet, symphony, and concerto. This is when he composed his 6 symphonies. The first one was written, it looks like, 3 years earlier than the second one. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say, honestly. But if you want to look at, there's a nice list of compositions here on Wikipedia. Lots of piano pieces. And then towards the mid to later part of his life, more and more orchestra pieces. If you want to listen to the recording that I'm listening to, it's in the video description. And I'll see you in about 12 minutes. That's how long the piece should be. Yeah. So this piece is nice and compact. It really flies by, and I think it's all one movement. But there's like a couple different themes. Some of the tempo changes go really hard, like the metric modulation stuff. And it's kind of metal, I would say, just like the amount of percussion and groovy, like rhythmic ideas. And I think it does owe a lot to Stravinsky, and it kind of reminds me of Copland, although maybe it's Copland that sounds like Chávez and not the other way around, because this is a really old piece. It looks like it was written in New York, maybe. Yeah. I like some of the featured soloists, like there's a nice high horn moment and some high bassoon around the same time. And there's also a lot of nice piccolo stuff, a really unique use of piccolo, in addition to the percussion, obviously. Yeah, this one would be really fun to see live, and I think it'd be nice to see it on a program, maybe with some American music of the same time, or maybe even some, like, maybe if you program this with the Bartók Concerto for Orchestra or something, I think it could make a nice little program. And I think this is just a really fun piece for your percussion to do, you know? You might have to hire a couple extra percussionists if you're a small orchestra, but you got to give them something to do in the season, right? And they're going to have a lot of fun with this, and you'll keep your employees happy. I didn't mention there is 2 piccolos, like dedicated piccolo parts. There's also an E-flat clarinet part and a bass clarinet part. And the trumpets are in B-flat, which is maybe a little bit more economical, but it's not normal. So that's some things to keep in mind if you want to program this piece. Um, yeah, it seems like a really well-known work, so I'm not sure how useful my introduction is, but thank you for tuning in and revisiting this piece with me or visiting it for the first time. Um, I think it was a really good introduction to Chávez's music, and it won't be the last piece of his we'll look at.